1993, Charles Barkley went west, hoping to bring a title to Phoenix. That season, Phoenix stormed into the finals, but were turned back by a superior team from Chicago. Last season, expectations were high, but Charles could not carry the load. He was overcome by a series of injuries, a painful ending to a season of frustration. Shaquille O'Neal emerged on the scene in 1993 and made a sudden impact. Last season, he led the Magic to their first ever playoffs. Expectations aside, despite losing, it was a giant step.
We're just going to use this as a stepping stone. Next year, we're just going to try to improve a little bit more.
This season, Orlando is off to a flying start. They own the league's best record, and Shaq has had much help. Anthony Hardaway is a budding superstar, and Horace Grant has brought 3 championship rings to the Magic Kingdom. The Phoenix Suns are also feeling A-OK, with championship hopes refueled by newcomer Danny Manning. Today, all eyes will be watching the biggest test of the season as Shaq and Sir Charles face off.
This is the NBA on NBC. Today, it's the Orlando Magic versus the Phoenix Suns.
A capacity crowd, better than 19,000 turning out at the America West Arena in Phoenix for the Orlando Magic, and the Phoenix Suns. Rarely does a regular season game attract such attention. Orlando at 32-7. They have won 6 in a row. They have the best record in the NBA. They're on top in the Eastern Conference, while Phoenix has won 29 and lost 8, and they lead in the West. That is the setting for today's much anticipated get-together. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Matt Kukas, and this is a matchup of the #1 and #2 top scoring teams in the NBA, which features the league's leading scorer in Shaquille O'Neal. And Matt, we're seeing a different Shaquille O'Neal these days. He has added to his repertoire. He has really elevated his game.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal has been criticized by a number of people for having a one-dimensional offensive game, strictly a dunker. Well, let's take a look at some of his ever-expanding offensive moves. Here he drop steps to the baseline for the jump hook, and the footwork for the hard spin to the basket. And once again, the jump hook off the power move to the middle. And his league-leading scoring and efficiency are just a couple of reasons why he'd be the MVP in the league if the voting were held today. But Marv, the biggest reason is his team is winning games at an alarming rate.
And this is a very deep Phoenix Suns ball club, which still revolves around the multi-talented Charles Barkley. He has come back from a host of injuries, but he is a guy who has come back very, very strong. And Charles Barkley is still the focus of attention for the Orlando Magic.
Well, Charles is apparently injury-free and near the top of his game, and back in the 20 and 10 club, and doing it in less minutes. And take a look at this. He's surrounded by a ton of talent, depth, and three-point shooting with an up-tempo style of play, and all capable of making big contributions. But Charles Barkley is still this franchise's life and personality, and their fortunes will rest a great deal on his broad shoulders.
All right, the Suns of the Magic completing their pregame warm-ups. When we come back, they will meet in what some are calling a dream game. Back with the lineups after this. This is the 202nd straight sellout at America West Arena in Phoenix, and we are set for the introduction of the starting lineups. Let's join with the public address announcer, Jeff Munn.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the America West Arena and NBA basketball. Today's game between the Orlando Magic and your Phoenix Suns. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with head coach Brian Hill, assistant coaches Richie Automato, Tree Rollins, and Tom Sterner, the trainer Lenny Courier, here's the starting lineup for the Orlando Magic. At forward from Clemson, number 54, Horace Grant. At forward from Notre Dame, number 5, Donald Royal. At center from Louisiana State, number 32, Shaquille O'Neal. At guard 45, Nick Anderson. And at guard from Memphis State, number 1, Anthony Hardaway. Gentlemen, with head coach Paul Westphal, assistant coaches Lionel Hollins and Scotty Robertson, the trainer Joe Brodsky and assistant trainer Aaron Nelson. Here's the starting lineup for your Phoenix Suns. At guard from Memphis State, number 2, Elliot Perry. At guard from Auburn, number 11, Wesley Person. At center from Syracuse, number 24, Dan Shea. At forward from Oregon State, number 45, A.C. Green. And at forward from Auburn, number 34, Charles Barkley. Officials for today's game are Jim Clark, Mike Mathis, and Woody Mayfield.
And the coach of the Phoenix Suns in his 3rd year as head man of the Suns, Paul Westphal, his counterpart with the Orlando Magic in his 2nd year as head coach, Brian Hill. Although Elliot Perry, as you just heard, is in the starting lineup, the injury hit Kevin Johnson is available to play after missing 8 of the last 9 games. More on that. Let's go to Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. I did talk to Kevin Johnson. He did practice the last couple of days, and as you say, he is available today. But now on Shaquille O'Neal. Since Friday in Denver, Shaquille has not talked to the press. I talked to him before the game today, and he said that he's so upset at the officiating, he feels that anything that he might say would get him in trouble with the league. So he is, in effect, making a statement by not making a statement. You know how that goes, don't you, Marv?
I follow you all the way. Actually, Shaquille has been bothered recently by what he perceives as rough play from those hoping to keep him from dunking. In turn, Shaquille believes the calls are not the same at both ends. In Denver on Friday, he played only 9 minutes the first half, drew 3 fouls, played only 29 minutes in that overtime game won by the Magic, and then refused to talk to reporters before today's game. And as Ahmad said, he's trying to make a statement by not talking. I don't know what that will do, but he has gained the attention about the fact that he's upset about the officiating.
Well, Superman is upset, and that sometimes happens, and he does not like the treatment that he's been getting. And of course, you have to look at it also from the other side. Sometimes their coaches are telling the players that, you know, foul Shaq hard before he is in the act of shooting. Well, it's very difficult to grab that big body when he's on his way to the hoop.
Jim Clark, Mike Mathis, Woody Mayfield are the officials, and the opening tip is controlled by Orlando. They won in overtime in Denver, beat the Nuggets Friday night 112-108 to make it 6 straight wins. 32-7, the best record in the NBA. They double up on Shaquille, gets it out for Anderson. He's been hot. That's a 3-pointer for Nick Anderson. And the Phoenix Suns to the offense for the first time. They've won 3 in a row, 8 of their last 9. Danny Shays in the starting lineup for the 10th straight game, although he has averaged only 10 minutes per game. Here's Barkley posting up. And it's rebounded by Horace Grant.
Well, there you saw Horace playing Charles Barkley one-on-one with no help. It just remains to be seen how long that can go. But once Charles recognizes that, he likes to get off to an early start in these ballgames.
Oh, beautiful spin, but a bit too much. And it's a traveling violation called by Mike Mathis.
Well, 2 former teammates at Treadwell High School in Memphis, Elliot Perry and Hardaway, going at it inside as Penny just shuffled the feet a little bit. Both went to Memphis State but did not play together there, as Penny had to sit out 1 year as a Prop 48.
Barkley on the pull-up. And rebounded by Anderson. This is the first of 2 meetings during the regular season between these two clubs. Phoenix beat Orlando twice in preseason. They did it convincingly. Here comes A.C. Green. Elliot Perry did not have the shot. Elliot Perry with the high socks, a throwback. Barkley. And the Magic up by the score of 3-2.
I was talking to Charles earlier today about why he likes to take so many perimeter shots early in the ball game. He feels that it sets up his driving game.
And a nice driving move by the man with the very quick first step, Donald Royal. Here's Perry right back. Rebounded by Barkley. Orlando by 1. Open shot for Anderson. And a loose ball foul is called. And the call against Phoenix.
Well, Nick Anderson coming down in transition, taking a quick three-pointer. Normally the Magic like to go inside to out as Shaq battling Danny Shays and A.C. Green for position there, and the officials got which one?
Danny Shays picked up the foul, and then Shaquille O'Neal going right at Danny Shays. The Magic 7 and the Suns 4. 2.5 gone by in this first quarter. Person not able to hit. Wesley Person in the starting lineup. However, we'll see quite a bit of Dan Marley off the bench. And again, a loose ball foul. This time it is against the Magic.
Oh, Shaq's so aggressive when he gets the ball inside, taking it to Danny Shays before any double team can help, as Shaq just wipes Danny Shays out there. Danny wearing the goggles. He would probably like to have a helmet, shoulder pads, chest protector, knee guard, anything else to help.
Elliot Perry with the head fake on Anthony Hardaway, setting up A.C. Green. A.C. Green, who is playing in his 687th consecutive regular season game, the longest active run and the 4th longest in NBA history. Off the steal, Person with the pull-up. Handled by Grant. Back come the Magic. Hardaway chased by Perry. Fans looking for a foul on Hardaway as Perry went down, and the Magic leads 9-7.
2-on-4 situation with Hardaway and Shaq going against 4 Suns there, and just Penny with that unseemly strength that he has in the wiry body just broke down Elliot Perry.
They gave Dan Shays that shot. Here's Hardaway with the look away. And O'Neal will go to the line. Fouled by Shays.
All right, here's how Phoenix gets that little three-point shot for A.C. Green in the corner over here. Penetration by Elliot Perry, the help over here, and A.C. Green wide open beyond the arc. Everybody on this team will launch a three, maybe with the exception of Joe Klein and Wayman Tisdale. In fact, Wayman Tisdale has never made a three-point shot in all the years he's been in the league.
Shaquille O'Neal leads the NBA in free throw attempts, but shooting only 55% at the line. Here's Dan Marley and Joe Klein for Dan Shays and Wesley Person. Shays just picked up his 2nd foul.
Well, normally that would be Danny Manning coming in against just about any other team in the league, but with Shaquille O'Neal on the floor, Paul Westphal knows he has to use his big bodies.
Orlando 11 and Phoenix 7. Well, Shaquille O'Neal hitting on his first 2 free throws. Barkley with the post up, gets it out to Klein. Joe Klein able to line drive it home, and it brings the Suns within 2. Very difficult matchup for Elliot Perry against the 6'7". Anthony Hardaway went to a post up, and a reach-in foul was called on Perry.
Charles Barkley feels he can help his team most by drawing double teams here. He spots Shaq coming. It leaves Joe Klein wide open at the top of the key. Last year, we did the game in Orlando. Joe Klein had a number of key hoops in just that same situation.
Here's Hardaway, changed his mind, popped it out to Grant. And the rebound handled by Klein.
Charles Barkley coming down to double team. That left Horace Grant wide open. The Suns are very willing to give open jumpers to Horace Grant and Donald Royal. They want to try to slow down Shaq and Penny as much as possible.
Harley off the mark with that three-point attempt. A year ago, the Orlando Magic with a record of 23-16. This season, as O'Neal fires that hook shot from deep, this season the best record in the league, and they are 18-0 at home. The only undefeated team at home in the NBA. Hardaway for three. And back come the Suns. Perry racing down. Gives it to Marley. Oh, what a pass from Perry to the trailer, Marley. And the game is tied at 11.
Textbook fast break run by Elliott. Perry, good job by Barkley and Green to run the wings, and then Perry just dropped it off to Thunder Dan.
6.5 remaining in this first quarter. Anderson fires the three. You know, you look back to Nick Anderson when a fellow by the name of Matt Gugas was coaching the Orlando Magic. In his rookie season, he was 1 for 17 from three-point range. What did you do to keep him down, Matt?
Didn't play him very much. He was about the third shooting guard we had on the team that year with Reggie Theus and Otis Smith. Nick did manage to get some good minutes in that year and average 14 a game.
And now he's third in the NBA in three-point field goals made. Hardaway had it knocked away. Perry given the room. Grant did not challenge him.
And terrible transition defense by the Orlando Magic. Only Nick Anderson and Horace Grant back, and Shaquille O'Neal, Donald Royal, and Penny Hardaway never made it to midcourt. They just assumed that the Suns were going to get an easy one. It wound up being a jump shot.
Elliott Perry has come a long way in terms of his shooting abilities this season. Illegal defense called for the first time. The Magic 14 and the Suns 13 with 5:39 remaining in this first quarter. Here's that beautifully executed fast break pass from Perry to Marley. We'll be back in a moment.
The Suns, this is their specialty, fast break baskets. They make a commitment to running after every missed shot and every steal.
Well, the Phoenix Suns at 29-8, best record in the Western Conference, but the question is, can Phoenix make it to a championship without a dominant center? We asked that of Charles Barkley.
We would all like to have Shaquille and Patrick and Hakeem, but we don't. I mean, it's only 3 teams got those guys. But we feel like that we have so many other weapons. Our center really doesn't have to be a dominant player. We would love to have one of those guys, but we don't, and we just have to make do.
I'm sure Charles did not really forget David Robinson, just didn't remember his name, but Charles making the most of his minutes so far. 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He generally just plays the first 8 minutes of the first quarter.
Nice pass on the post-up setup as Hardaway got it to Grant. And the Magic up now 16-13. We have 5:20 to go in this first quarter.
And that's the real weakness of the Phoenix defense. Interior defense like that, where they've got to cover up and take away that first touch of the basket. They just hate to give up baskets like that.
Charles Barkley was saying in the interview with Bob Costas on NBA Showtime earlier today, Klein shot blocked by Hardaway. Hardaway trying to feed it to Anderson, but Perry gets it back. For three. And rebounded by Royal. Charles Barkley saying that we, the Phoenix Suns, will never be a good defensive club. Too many guys offensive-minded. As I say that, Barkley with a steal, and Hilly gave it back as he went behind the back, but it will be Phoenix ball.
Well, Charles smelling out this one, jumping into the passing lane, getting a little bit too fancy on the outlet pass as Hardaway stopped it and knocked it out of bounds as Phoenix gets the ball back.
But he feels, as Danny Manning is able to throw up his first shot attempt, that the Suns just are not capable because of the makeup of the team. On some occasions, they'll come up strong defensively, but for the most part, they will never be an excellent defensive team.
They would want to improve on a lot of little areas before they get to the playoffs, like that, covering the inside and taking away easy baskets. They're going to give up enough easy baskets because the style of play, it's going to be up and down. They just don't want to give up those easy ones in the half court.
Donald Royal extending to an 18-13 Magic lead. Manning with a nice pass for Barkley. 6 points for Charles. And it's Orlando 18 and Phoenix 15. Marv Albert, Matt Gukas, and Ahmad Rashad from the America West Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. Open shot for Donald Royal. And a loose ball foul called against Orlando. It's on Shaquille O'Neal. And here comes Kevin Johnson, replacing Elliot Perry. Kevin Johnson has played in only 15 of the Suns' 37 games because, as you can see, assorted injuries and ailments, and he hears it from the crowd. He's missed 8 of the last 9 games. Elliot Perry, though, has filled in extremely well. Johnson with the pass. Manning on the follow.
Well, that's what Kevin Johnson can do for you, create a lot of offense for other players. Sometimes when he comes back from injury, and he's had a lot of work at it, he tries to do a little bit too much himself in getting scores for himself, but when he tries to get baskets for everybody else, he makes himself a better player.
It will be Phoenix ball. Kevin Johnson with fond memories of his last game against Orlando last March. 30 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. Charles Barkley also had a huge game against the Magic. Phoenix with the ball. They're down by 1. Johnson had it knocked away. The official, Jim Clark, calling a loose ball foul on Hardaway. That's his first personal. 2 minutes, 51 seconds. Remaining first quarter. Orlando leads by 1. Well, next weekend here on NBC in prime time on both Friday and Saturday nights, NBC Sports presents the Complete World Professional Figure Skating Championships. Skating stars Christy Yamaguchi and Katrina Witt and Scott Hamilton will headline a world-class field. The Complete World Professional Figure Skating Championships, prime time next Friday and Saturday right here on NBC. Welcome back to Phoenix for the NBA Game of the Week. Orlando Magic 8 of 20 from the field. Phoenix Suns 7 of 16 here at the start, and a slow start for Shaquille O'Neal. Only 4 points as we wind down in the first quarter. Barkley rebounded by O'Neal.
Charles Study got fouled on the play as he bumped into Horace Grant. Also, they felt Horace Grant hit him on the arm. Charles playing a little bit longer in this first quarter than he's been used to, but I think Paul Westphal senses that obviously this is a big game. We've been hearing about it for 3 weeks. He wants to give Charles every opportunity.
Nice box out by Joe Klein, who's hearing the response from the crowd. Kevin Johnson on a crossover. Nice move. He beat Hardaway, could not score. Manning calls for a timeout. It's a 22nd timeout taken by Danny Manning. All right, for more on Kevin Johnson, let's go across the way to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv, as I was talking to Kevin, he said that he wasn't really concerned about his conditioning having been off as long as he's been off. And even though he practiced the last couple of days, what he was worried about was his ball handling skills and his timing under game conditions.
Yes, there have been an assortment of injuries that Kevin Johnson has had to fight off. Beautiful crossover move by Kevin, although he did not hit just a moment ago. Here it is.
Well, the Suns feel this is their best work against Penny Hardaway, who normally brutalizes Kevin Johnson inside, or at least did during the exhibition game. They came out in the second half in that ball game with Kevin Johnson isolating, trying to take Hardaway off the dribble and get him in foul trouble, something they did.
Orlando 18, Phoenix 17. Danny Manning. The Orlando Magic Magic come into today 7.5 in front of the New York Knicks in the Atlantic Division. The Knicks are playing terrific ball. They've won 11 of the last 12. They play at Miami tonight. Horace Grant with 4 points. And the Magic up by 3.
Same defensive philosophy for Phoenix. Double team Hardaway or Shaquille.
And Manning able to get inside. That's his second field goal. The Magic by 1.
Well, Danny Manning with a huge height advantage over Donald Royal. It's another player that the Magic will have to come down and double team. That time, Royal got caught on the top side.
Hardaway. Anthony Hardaway going glass. And the Magic up 22-19. Second part of our NBA doubleheader here on NBC. Earlier in Chicago, the Bulls beat the Rockets, who have had their difficulties recently, 100-81. Led by B.J. Armstrong, who had 20 points for Chicago. Marley off the dribble, draws the foul.
Well, Donald Royal having all kinds of problems here with Danny Manning, getting caught up on in a front situation and not enough pressure inside. Here with Hardaway catching it, making the quick move before a double team could get there from AC Green, and Kevin Johnson just cannot deal with Hardaway in the low post. Dan Marley on the free throw line right now kind of fell into a trap last year by being the lone perimeter shooter with so many injuries to Barkley and Kevin Johnson. He wound up being the guy that had to space the floor and wound up just shooting so many threes. He continues to shoot the threes, but Dan Marley is starting to take the ball to the basket much more, and that's why you see the improved field goal percentage. And his minutes are down a little bit, mainly because the Suns have so much more talent this year than last.
Yes, Dan Marley has come back very strong from an off year. On the line, the result of that foul by Nick Anderson. Ryan Shaw has checked into the Magic lineup for the first time, as has Anthony Avent. So Hardaway and Shaw at the guards. Avent, Anderson, and Grant up front. Shaquille O'Neal sitting down. Anderson given the room. Barkley with the rebound and pushes it down. Here comes Barkley for Green. Barkley on the tip. Barkley again. And the Suns lead by 1.
That's what Charles Barkley's been able to do throughout his career when he is healthy. Make that second jump, and sometimes when he needs it, the third and fourth, maybe better than anybody in the history of the game.
Barkley has 8 points. 20 seconds remaining. First quarter. Grant, yes, again, off the double team on Hardaway, he's able to get it out to the open man.
And he has time to read the label, read the commissioner's name, as the Magic are getting that wide open shot on any post up inside. Horace Grant can knock that one down.
Final seconds of the quarter. Johnson try to lay it off Manning. So after one, it's the Magic 24 and the Suns 23.
Charles forcing the tempo here, trying to get one more fast break before the quarter ends. Good pass to AC Green, who can't finish, but Charles, keeping his head and eyes on the ball at all times, finishes off beautifully.
And here in the early going, Shaquille O'Neal only 1 for 3, 4 points. Charles Barkley with a strong opening quarter, 4 for 9 from the field for 8 points. We'll be back in Phoenix in a moment. Strong start for Charles Barkley as you look at the shooting percentages of Orlando and Phoenix, 2 of the best shooting teams in the NBA. And in this first quarter, Orlando 10 of 21, Phoenix only 10 of 27. A lot of shot attempts, though, by the Phoenix Suns. Second quarter is underway as Marley gets inside. Yes. The Suns 25 and the Magic 24. Ryan Shaw handling against Danny Ainge, who just checked in. Shaquille O'Neal is back.
Against Raymond Tisdale inside. Double team really didn't get there late. Shaq just short-armed a little jump hook.
And at the other end, it is Shaquille going up against Raymond Tisdale. At times, Shaquille does not come out to contest the jump shot, so if Tisdale gets hot, that could be a factor. But right here, foul is called on Tisdale.
Well, Shaq, knowing he has that big height advantage against Wayman and strength advantage, taking up a strong position inside, and Tisdale knew he was in trouble, tried to get around and knock the ball loose. He knows he has 6 fouls to use, does Tisdale. He'll get them.
Phoenix Suns have so many different people, so many different looks coming at you off the bench. In fact, Dallas coach Dick Motta said if you split the team in half, you'd still have 2 teams that are ready for playoffs. Charles Barkley with 10 points.
And one of the rare times that Horace Grant does not get back in transition defense. Of course, many times he goes to the offensive boards. Other times he's hanging on the perimeter, but Barkley clearly beat him.
Hardaway knocks down a 3, and the game is tied at 27. Phoenix Suns have won 5 of the last 6 meetings between these 2 teams. It's the first of 2. And there are many who feel this could be a preview of the NBA Finals. Barkley gets inside again. He has 12 points, and the Suns lead by 2.
Brian Hill told me yesterday he did not want to come and double team Barkley unless he absolutely had to. The kind of game Charles is having now, he's going to have to seriously consider it.
The call against Phoenix. Loose ball foul on Danny Ainge. Charles Barkley very upset over that call by Jim Clark. There is some history between Jim Clark and Charles Barkley. You may recall that game at Madison Square Garden as O'Neal gets inside. Charles very upset about a call, leaping over the scorer's table to chase down Jim Clark in the corridor, which of course Charles some money.
Well, over 10 years in the league, Charles probably has a history with about 25 referees.
Raymond Tisdale with his first field goal. Raymond Tisdale has been an excellent acquisition, signing with as a free agent. And Shaquille O'Neal coming to life here in the second quarter. He has 8 points.
Raymond Tisdale, never known as a strong defensive player, either individually or a team player. His team defender is really having his problems with Shaq right now as he just cannot keep his body on him.
Marley posting up. The air ball fielded by Barkley. Barkley again. There's that second jump that you mentioned earlier. Has the ability to go up a second and third time so effectively.
And the instinct there was, Marvin, he actually didn't really try to make that first one. He knew Grant had defended him well. He just trying to put it between the basket and the rim and go get it again.
Suns 33 and the Magic 31. Ryan Shaw firing from downtown. Anderson able to keep it alive for the Magic. Hardaway from straight away for 3. Anthony Hardaway hitting on his second 3-pointer, and it's the Magic 34 and the Suns 33.
A look of dismay on Paul Westphal, not wanting to give those 3-point shots, but when you're so concerned about Shaquille inside, that's the open shot that's there.
Tisdale, yes. Good job by Manning off the double team, able to get it outside to the open Raymond Tisdale, and the Suns lead by 1.
Manning's unselfishness has been contagious with this team. Danny Manning loves to pass the ball, sometimes to a fault, sometimes he'll overpass it and commit turnovers.
Grant setting the screen. Shot clock at 2. Beautiful pass, and Anderson is able to put it down. What a recovery by the Orlando Magic with the shot clock running down to 1, and they now lead by 1. 4 minutes and change gone by in the second quarter. Illegal defense called for the first time against the Magic.
Now Charles Barkley getting out ahead of the pack as Horace Grant calling for help as he knew he was clearly beaten by Barkley in transition. Perfect feed by Danny Ainge. And Tisdale wide open as Shaquille went down to double team, and the Magic just not making the rotation, and that makes Raymond Tisdale feel good about contributing.
Yes, the Suns mascot, the gorilla, always making his presence felt, as has Charles Barkley, who you have the idea is mentally ready for this afternoon's nationally televised game. And the last time that Charles faced the Magic, March 13th, he had that 30-point, 20-rebound contest. Today, 14.6 rebounds, 4 of the 6 rebounds off the offensive board.
And last year when Charles had that 30 and 20, he was not in the best of health. Really didn't jump a lot on those 20 rebounds.
Manning on the recovery. And the Suns 37. The Magic, 36. Ryan Shaw handling against Danny Ainge. Grant guarded by Barkley. Here's the double team on Shaquille. Frees up Anderson for the three. Kept alive by Grant. Barkley thought he was fouled. Horace Grant able to convert, and it's Orlando by 1.
Charles thought he had that rebound. He's really doing things to Horace Grant at the offensive end, however, but he feels Horace Grant is one of the best defensive forwards in the game.
And a foul is called. The basket will not count. Foul against the Magic. It's on Shaquille, his second.
Nick Anderson off that missed shot as Grant just outworking Barkley on the inside to get body position to take that rebound away from Charles Barkley. Not many people can do that, but the great hands of Horace Grant. Any kind of, whether it's a tough pass inside, a tough rebound, he's able to snatch it.
Well, Brian Hill pulling out Shaquille O'Neal after he picked up a second foul. 8 points for Shaquille, only 3 of 7 from the field. Anthony Avent, Anthony Bowie have come on. Marley with the step. Marley able to hit on the reverse. The Suns by 1.
That's the biggest difference in Dan Marley's game this year. More aggressive, taking the ball to the basket to kind of complement his three-point shooting.
8 points for Marley. Horace Grant. Barkley poked it away. Marley for 3. Yes. The Suns have hit their last 5 shots, and they now lead by 4. Dan Marley shooting 41% from downtown. Among the leaders, here's Anderson has been off. Grant keeps it alive. Anderson. And Barkley on the rebound. Protecting. Look out. Whoa, elbow in the face of Nick Anderson, who did not like it. At the other end. And the reason he was able to hit was because Nick Anderson continued to discuss the call in the backcourt. And Barkley took advantage. Standing ovation for the Suns.
There's Nick still talking with referee Mike Mathis, but you're right, Mark. The transition defense of the Orlando Magic has been the one weak link in what has been otherwise almost a perfect season.
7-0 run by the Suns. They've hit their last 6 shots.
Now Charles Barkley getting a rebound in traffic. Felt he was harassed by Avent and Anderson and trying to shake loose. Faked the elbow, which Nick Anderson takes exception to here as he talks to Mike Mathis all the way and takes himself out of the play. Grant has to help out, and it leads Barkley a clear path to the basket.
And Nick Anderson continued after Mike Mathis, and when we were gone, Mathis hit him with a technical foul. So Anderson continued the discussion. And that after Shaquille O'Neal sat down, within a very short time, the Suns outscored the Magic 10-2 with Shaquille on the bench. Danny Ainge converts on the technical. So with 5:42 to go in this first half, the Suns have opened up their biggest lead of the game. They're up 45-38 by virtue of an 8-0 run. Royal checking back in, and he will inbound.
Brian Hill very much concerned while Shaq sits as to where he will get some offense. No doubt he'll go inside to Penny Hardaway.
Horace Grant shooting. And again, it's Charles Barkley. That's his 8th rebound. Here's Marley. And it's a clean block. 4-on-3 for the Magic. Hardaway pops it out. Bowie. Rebound Avent. Knocked away. Saved by Bunt. Covered by Tisdale. Now Ainge setting it up. They clear it out for Charles. That time he forced it, and he's upset.
And he felt that Horace Grant held his shorts down. Charles, here goes Grant and Barkley.
Yes, Barkley apparently that Grant held him. And let's see how the officials handle this. No punches thrown. A shove by each player.
Charles almost takes it as a way of being disrespected if you don't come and double team him. He was surprised with the kind of first half he's been having that nobody came, put up a very poor shot. He felt he was held and grabbed by Horace Grant, and no doubt said something to Horace when they got down to the other end of the floor as the officials try to sort it out.
Mike Mathis walking over to the Phoenix end of the floor.
Personal foul on number 34, Charles
Barkley called for a personal and a technical on Grant for the shove on Barkley. And Ainge again will shoot fatigue.
Here's the tough shot by Barkley, and you can show Charles showing the official that he got grabbed on the shorts, and here throws the shoulder into Grant. That was the personal foul, and then the comeback push by Horace Grant is the technical foul as Charles Barkley gets his first rest. Now, Charles has been involved in 2 minor altercations here. Oddly enough, he is the man not getting the technical foul.
Hardaway. Anthony Hardaway. That's 2-point range. His foot on the line. Yes, that earlier incident. A tough rebound in traffic, waving the elbow in the face of Anderson. Last touch by the Magic. Anthony Bowie tried to hold on. And here's Shaquille O'Neal checking back in.
Hustle play there by Anthony Bowie, just cannot come with the loose ball, as he did make an earlier good defensive play, but the Suns didn't capture the ball.
4:25 remaining in the first half. Ainge on a quick release, hits the three. That's his first field goal attempt. And it's Phoenix by 8. Shaquille O'Neal has had a very quiet first half. He has not been as usual dominating self. Beautiful lead pass from Hardaway to O'Neal, and you know that Brian Hill would like to get him involved.
Well, if anybody can get you going, it's Penny Hardaway. He's an outstanding playmaker, has a sense for when to deliver the ball. He gave it to Shaq before he could get fouled.
And off the double team, foul on Anthony Bowie, and Ainge and Bowie are having some words. And here's a technical call, probably a double T. Things are getting testy here in the second quarter. Danny Ainge and Anthony Bowie had words. Mike Mathis over at the scorer's table with the instructions on the call. It is a double technical.
Well, we're going to shoot here as Penny Hardaway is going to shoot the technical free throw as Ainge and Anthony Bowie, not really, I guess trash talking, taunting would be the reason for the technical foul.
And Hardaway not able to convert on the tee. And now Ainge will shoot the technical. You may wonder, why are they shooting on a double technical? If the calls are not made simultaneously, you do go to the line in that type of situation. So apparently Mike Mathis felt there was one technical call, and then a moment later there was a response, and he called the other a technical foul. Well, they're off and running in this department.
Well, the officials having a difficult job. Emotions are running high, as you would expect. So much has been made of this ball game. You would think it'd be very hard to live up to. The players, the coaches, obviously everybody around wants to see this game, wants to be a part of it. I think both teams want to test themselves, and when you're that much into it, emotions will get away from you.
3:57 remaining in the first half, and the Suns lead 49-42. That hit Klein in the head. He was surprised by the pass. Hardaway changed his mind, and the response from the crowd in the direction of Joe Klein for the physical move on Shaquille O'Neal, although he was hit with a foul.
the smart thing right now because his normal catches in the post have not been going well for him. So he's trying to get lob situations or pick and rolls going to the basket. Here he just has to throw it out of the double.
Shaw for three. Rebounded by Klein.
Terrific job that time by Joe Klein, keeping his body between Shaquille O'Neal and the basketball, and the Suns able to come away with the ball.
Phoenix up by 7. Manning with the height advantage on Royal. They double up on him. Shot clock at 5. Manning. Green on the offensive board. Ames. And Shaquille had it knocked away and was fouled. Hit on a reach-in. Took a shot on the forehead as Danny Manning, or as he likes to be known these days, as D. Manning. And in honor of that, our entire staff here at NBC Sports has decided to refer to you as M. Gukas.
Thank you very much, Mark. Just keep referring to me somehow, some way.
Well, Horace Grant will sit down. Anthony Aben is back. So Brian Hill doing a lot of shuffling here in the first half, and Shaquille O'Neal will go to the line with the Suns over the limit. Shaquille hit his first 2. He started the season shooting reasonably well at the free throw line. This is a line drive attempt, but he has dropped off. As you can see, just under 55%. Orlando at 67% as a team. That's second worst in the NBA. Only the LA Clippers are worse. Now, Matt, this would certainly hurt them in the playoffs when the scores decrease and the games slow down. Now, there are those who say, well, Chicago wasn't that efficient at the line. Kevin Johnson with his first field goal. But the Bulls had Michael Jordan. It counts. And the foul. They had Jordan with the ball at the end of games, and Jordan was an 85% free throw shooter, so that's the difference there.
Kevin Johnson getting his second stint in this ball game, doing what he does best, penetrate into the lane as he throws up the soft left-hander, as Paul Westphal happy for any kind of production he can get from Kevin Johnson.
A.C. Green was called on the foul. Timeout taken. We'll be right back.
Hi again, Bob Costas in New York, and coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll bring you more of my conversation with Charles Barkley, and we'll have highlights of the early game on NBC today as the Bulls beat the Rockets in Chicago. Plus, we'll update you on the rest of the NBA scoreboard. There were 3 other afternoon games. Right now, back to Phoenix as we rejoin Marvin Mapp.
Thank you, Bob. And we welcome you back to the NBA on NBC. Yes, I am. And a reference to perhaps the future governor of Alabama, Charles Barkley.
And he's back in the ballgame getting a brief rest, as this is the first time this season I think that Paul Westphal has used him differently. However, in their win over Portland on Thursday night, Charles did play 40 minutes. The first time he has played that many all season long.
Averaging about 31 minutes per game, but his production has been solid. Suns lead by 5 points. Joe Klein contributing both offensively and defensively. His second field goal, he has 4. Phoenix 53 and Orlando 46. A matchup of the 2 top teams in the NBA. Suns 29-8, the Magic 32-7. Here's Hardaway getting inside. The tip by Aben. Aben again. One up with the left hand. Anthony Aben brings the Magic within 5.
Well, the spacing wasn't good coming out of the double team on Shaquille O'Neal, but Hardaway made something happen. And Anthony Aben showing that he has a couple of jumps in him on a possession.
Last touch by the Orlando Magic. A reminder, next Sunday, 12 noon Eastern Time, here on NBC. Basketball action continuing. Another NBA doubleheader. Sir Charles leading the Suns into Madison Square Garden, taking on Patrick Ewing and the Knicks, followed by the Bulls and the Warriors. Well, Marley's had the hot hand. He's 5 for 9. He has 13 points. The Suns lead by 7. Look at the success of these 2 ball clubs. And Matt, neither team has lost 2 straight games this season. Barkley was held. The basket will not count. Foul before the shot attempt. No team in the history of the NBA has gone an entire season without losing 2 straight.
Well, it's a credit to both ball clubs in that they have so much pride. When they do go down, they bounce back very strong. But these teams are very good, and they know it. That's why they're having a lot of fun playing in this game and look forward to it. They want to test themselves in this game, and they didn't care about all the hype. They know that whatever happens tomorrow, I got a newsflash, the sun will come up tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to come up a little bit better here in Phoenix and Orlando, but yes, there will be another day.
Anthony Abel off of the last foul. Kevin Johnson able to blow right by. Shaquille O'Neal was careful because he already has 2 fouls.
And that particular play, Shaq is supposed to step out and double team. He did make a wise play there, and since he was late on the play, he decided to let KJ go.
Phoenix by 9 points. Open shot for Grant. Kevin Johnson. Marley on the tip. Well, we're seeing the Suns repeatedly succeeding on the offensive glass. The crowd responds. Phoenix leads by 11. And Shaquille is fouled. Shaquille O'Neal tripped up. Joe Klein raising his hand.
Well, in transition, this is when you get a lot of offensive rebounding opportunities, as Kevin Johnson can't get the jumper, but all of the Magic players standing around and looking, nobody leaving their feet to go for the ball. Dan Marley, the only one to go after it.
You know, you look at the Orlando Magic record of 32 wins in 39 games. 4 of the Magic losses have been decided by 2 points, and what's odd, the other 3 defeats have been by an average of 33 points per game. They've been won up by Seattle, by New Jersey, by Chicago by 32. That was the return of Horace Grant. And they were just flat.
They were flat. They did not have Donald Royal in that ballgame, and Scottie Pippen got off to an unbelievable start. B.J. Armstrong had 22 in the first half. The Bulls made every shot, and the Orlando Magic seemed to be just too keyed up, worried about Horace Grant going back to Chicago. Never really got into the game.
That's an odd stat for a club that has had such a successful run. A.C. Green off the mark, and is rebounded by Brian Shaw. 25 seconds to go in the half. There's Donald Royal. It counts and the foul. Donald Royal, who is a very strong free throw shooter, will go to the line. He was hit by A.C. Green.
Donald Royal loves to run the floor, and the Magic point guards Brian Shaw and Hardaway look for him to reward him. And Donald Royal, keep in mind, playing with very sore ribs. They are just not better yet, and for his type of slashing, driving game, very difficult. He has to raise those arms, and Donald is always looking to get fouled.
The Suns with a 59-52 lead. Down to 20 seconds. Remaining of the half. Kevin Johnson walks it up. Johnson working the clock down. Here's Marley for 3. Oh! With 1/10 of a second to go in the half, Dan Marley drills the three-pointer. 18 for Marley for the half, and the Suns lead by 10.
From the parking lot, Dan Marley, the old three-point line, saw the clock, let it fly, almost near the spot where John Paxson hit his, but maybe about 10 steps further out.
So Dan Marley with 14 of his 18 points in the second quarter. He has been on fire. He has hit 7 of 11. He's hit 2 from downtown. The Suns at halftime leading the Magic 62-52. Bob Costas coming up with our halftime in just a moment. We'll be back in Phoenix. Stay with us.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
The Marley 3 just before the half ends increases the Phoenix lead to 10, gives him 18. Charles Barkley has 16 and 9 rebounds at the half. Phoenix 62 and Orlando 52. Bob Costas back in New York. along with Julius Erving. Perhaps not quite as effectively as Purdue and Longley and Wennington did against Hakeem Olajuwon in the lid lifter of this doubleheader, but using Klein and Shays and Tisdale, the Suns have had pretty good success holding Shaq at bay.
I think they have had pretty good success holding the Shaq at bay when Orlando has elected to play half-court basketball, except for a few second shot opportunities that the Magic have been able to muster. I think the Suns are playing their type of game. They want to force the tempo. They want to take the quick shot if they have the opportunity to take the quick shot. And Orlando right now is not out of this ball game by any means, because they're the type of team that can come back just like Phoenix is. They're down 10 mainly because, they've been able to get some offensive rebounds, and that's kept them from not being down 20 points at this time.
All right, let's check the scoreboard. There were 4 other games on the afternoon schedule, starting with the one seen earlier on NBC. The Rockets and the Bulls, and Chicago winds up winning it by 19. To the highlights, a frustrated Hakeem Olajuwon, 2 of 18 from the field, finishes with a season-low 15. B.J. Armstrong leads Chicago with 20. This three-pointer gave the Bulls a 60-52 lead in the third, but it was their defense that really held the Rockets in check. Off the steal, Tony Kukoc takes it all the way for 2 of his 18, and the Bulls go on to win it 100-81. A very tough week for the Rocket offense. 75 points in a loss to Minnesota, 77 in a loss to the Knicks, and then 81 today in a defeat at Chicago. Washington wins at New Jersey. The final from the Meadowlands is 109-103. Let's look at some highlights from that one. It begins with Kenny Anderson here. Not the Anderson shot, but he will grab the rebound, and then with a nice no-look pass, he sets up Derek Coleman for the bucket. Anderson had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, but Rex Chapman had 16 of his game-high 35 in the third. That tray gave the Bullets the lead. Then on the very next sequence, it's Scott Skiles with the strip, and then he gets it to Juwan Howard on the break. Howard, the rookie, with a career high of 27 plus 6 rebounds. The Bullets have won 2 games in a row. They beat Philadelphia on Friday. 109-103 is the final. San Antonio and Indiana in the fourth, and let's update that score. The Pacers now up by 10. Highlights from earlier: Dennis Rodman back off the 1-game suspension, which gave him additional time to confer with Vidal Sassoon. Now here off the loose ball, Derek McKee finding Reggie Miller, who finishes it with the slam. Pacers led by 9 at the half. Sean Elliott now has it knocked away by Derek McKee, and at the other end it's Reggie pulling up for the 3, which he naturally connects on. And as I said, in the fourth, it's the Pacers leading by 10, 87-77 to this point. Reggie Miller has 14, David Robinson 30, and Dennis Rodman has 18 rebounds at this point in the game for the Spurs. Minnesota and Charlotte at the half. It's the T-Wolves 53 and the Hornets 39. Earlier in that ball game, Doug West will fumble it away, but Christian Laettner is able to pick it up and stick it back in for the easy basket. And now Isaiah Ryder backs up a little bit and fires over Del Curry with that basket to increase the lead for the T-Wolves. Ryder with 17 points at the half and a 53-39 lead from Minnesota. Coming up, we'll bring you more of my conversation with Charles Barkley. That's next, after a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Halftime in Phoenix, the Suns leading the Magic 62-52. Charles Barkley with 16 points and 9 rebounds so far for Phoenix. If you were with us for the pregame at the beginning of today's doubleheader, you saw the first part of our conversation with Sir Charles. Here is installment number 2. What kind of change do you see in the general tone in the league since you came in?
Well, just the only thing that really bugs me is just strictly business. This is my 11th year, and one thing that was consistent when I first came to the league, we just love to play basketball. And now, I think the NBA, they made a lot, when they put in the salary cap, they changed the texture of the game. Now you got guys signing 1-year deals, then they're free agents, and that's going to breed animosity. I think you saw it with Anthony Hardaway. I think you saw it with Chris Webber. Because I think if you have to renegotiate the contract every year, because the guys are going to get the money they deserve. That's the bottom line. And the players' union is so smart now. They know how to make sure the guy gets the money. So I think we just need to realize if the owners and the players could reach in all sports. See, it used to be where the owners made all the money and the players didn't make anything. Now it's kind of reversed. I think if we both just realize that we're in this thing together and we all going to kill the golden goose sooner or later, it would be better. We just got to work together.
What's the distinction between Charles Barkley's temper, Charles Barkley's attitude or style, which sometimes has some bravado to it on the court. What's the distinction, if there is any, between that and some of what we're seeing these days? We don't necessarily have to name names, but we're seeing a lot of belligerence. I think Peter Richmond, in an article about you in GQ a couple months ago, said that the NBA is turning lead pipe ugly. You think he's got a point?
Well, I think the thing is, a lot of the trash talking has really become negative. Like, we used to always joke around. I mean, like Michael and Larry and myself, when we talk trash, and a lot of other players talk trash, it was more of a fun thing. But now there's a little edge to it, like a really mean edge. Like, we used to always say, like somebody like, hey, you can't stop me. You just have to hope I miss. And we'd be laughing while it was happening. Yeah. You know, now it's just really like guys are saying that they really mean it, and they'll be foaming at the mouth and things. I mean, I always, even today when I talk trash, I mean, I'm just having fun, and I get a good laugh out of some guys. But when I see some of the guys do it, I think they carry it over. Or like when they get a dunk and scream into the camera. I mean, I think it's all right to have fun and do little fun things on the court, because you are an entertainer. But I think you should never, I mean, every guy does it. That's the thing that bothers me. It used to be you had to be a real good player before you could be a hot dog. Now, guys who get to play once a month a hot dog, that's the only thing that bothers me.
Has it changed that much?
I think it has changed a lot, and Charles makes some great bullets. You know, back in the day, we talked about championships, we talked about compensation, then we talked about endorsements and everything else. And now that's not necessarily the order of priority.
You know, Latrell Sprewell, who is obviously a very good player for Golden State, called Charles a punk in a game during the playoffs last year. And Charles said, almost innocently, you know, that hurt my feelings. I mean, talk trash, but don't call me a punk. Say you can't guard me tonight, or I got to step on you. Don't call me a punk.
That wasn't the night he got 56 in the playoffs.
He got 56 the next night.
The next night. So it was fuel.
That's what I asked him. I said, how did you answer? He said, I answered the next game. I got 56. At the half in Phoenix, the Suns, with their bench outscoring the Magic 41-4. The Suns lead overall by 10. We'll send it back to Marv Albert and Matt Gukas after these messages from your local station. Enjoy the second half, everybody.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
Phoenix with a 10-point lead as we close in on the start of play in the second half. And Ahmad Rashad is with Orlando coach Brian Hill. Let's go to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. Brian, down by 10 points at the half. How do you get Shaq more scoring opportunities?
Well, it's tough to get a lot of scoring opportunities when you get that double team every time. He's playing unselfish in there and throwing the ball out. I thought we had a lot of open shots out of the double teams, and we just got to start knocking down some shots. I thought we got some good looks and missed a lot of easy baskets. We got hurt in transition defense a couple of times, and we let Marley get loose a little bit too much. But I think we'll be in good shape this half if we start making some shots.
How about your defense? Is it as aggressive as you'd like?
Well, I'd like to be a lot more aggressive. You know, we got hurt on the middle pick and roll a number of times there, and I think Shaq was a little bit afraid of picking up a foul in that situation, but we solved it the last couple of times other than the three-point shot by Marley from the locker room there, and hopefully we'll be able to do a better job this half.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Back to you, Marv.
All right, Ahmad, and this is the second half of our NBC NBA doubleheader. Earlier today, the Chicago Bulls in Chicago knocked off the Houston Rockets 100-81, and the Rockets struggling as of late. Hakeem Olajuwon only 2 of 18 from the field this afternoon. One of the foul, the Bullets over the Nets, 109-103. Look at the leading scores in the first half here in Phoenix. O'Neal and Hardaway with 12 apiece, Royal with 10, and Marley with 18, and Barkley with 16. A sensational first half for Charles Barkley. 16 points, 8 of 15 from the field, and 9 rebounds.
Last week against Denver, the Suns only turned the ball over 4 times in a game. They only had 1 turnover in that first half. A pretty clear indication that the Magic defense was not aggressive enough.
Danny Manning opening up this third quarter. He now has 8 points. So the Suns with their biggest lead, a 64-52 margin. Pass intended for O'Neal, who was pushed by Green. A.C. Green picks up his third
Unusual starting lineup for the Suns, although Paul Westphal not afraid to make changes at any time as Shaq trying to step inside. Nothing AC Green could do but try to shove him out of there. But Kevin Johnson, who played some good minutes in the first half, gets a start.
That time it looked easy for Shaquille O'Neal, so he now has 14 points. Yes, the Suns opening up with Kevin Johnson, along with Dan Marley, AC Green, Charles Barkley, Danny Manning, although I see Joe Klein moving over to the scorer's table, and he will come on. Barkley posting up on Grant. Here's Green teeing up for three. Anthony Hardaway opening in this third quarter with Donald Royal, Nick Anderson, Shaquille O'Neal, and Horace Grant. Johnson pushing it down. Going to the crossover around Hardaway. And back come the Magic. Hardaway is hit by Barkley. And for Charles, that is his second.
Well, the Magic getting a real good break there as Kevin Johnson got into the lane in transition as Shaquille was late getting back defensively. Nobody really in there to block a shot except maybe Horace Grant. Kevin Johnson couldn't finish off the play, however.
Orlando, this is the finale of a 3-game road trip. Nice move by Hardaway. They come off that overtime win in Denver on Friday. Coming up, 4 straight at home beginning Tuesday against the Boston Celtics. While Phoenix looking at a 5-game road trip beginning Tuesday in Minnesota. Here's Joe Klein. Neal with the back tap. Anderson gives it back. Hardaway. Nice shovel pass for Grant. And a good run here by the Magic to cut it to a 6-point lead, and a timeout taken by Phoenix.
Well, Penny Hardaway with his post up, it is lethal down there. If you don't get down and double team him very quickly as he posted up, Kevin Johnson, Danny Manning comes, but way too late as Hardaway with a huge size advantage over Kevin Johnson finishes off, and he'll make about 2 or 3 a game of these kind of dazzling passes as he sees the floor beautifully, finding Horace Grant wide open underneath. Terrific shovel pass.
Anthony Hardaway coming off the outstanding rookie season, averaged 16 points, nearly 7 assists per game, and gradually taking over the point guard duties from Scott Skiles. Charles Barkley saying he would take Anthony Hardaway over Shaquille O'Neal to start a franchise.
High praise indeed. Oh, Charles might change that 5 minutes later. You couldn't go wrong with either one, but Shaq is special.
Barkley off the steal. 6-0 run by the Magic. Manning, he thought he was fouled by Grant. Hardaway on the hesitation move through the foul. A push on Johnson.
Well, Danny Manning having Shaq on him, does the wise thing, tries to drive on him, feels he can beat him off the dribble or draw a foul. Was able to beat Shaq, but the ball knocked loose by Grant. Manning thought it was a foul.
Now Klein going, well, he was defending one-on-one, then Johnson over briefly to help out. And here's help from Marley. Shaquille O'Neal with his prettiest shot of the game. He now has 16 points. And it's down to a 4-point Phoenix lead. They've led by as many as 12 just moments ago. Suns have missed their last 5 shots. Klein. Well, Joe Klein is connected on 3 out of 5. He has 6 points. It's Phoenix by 6.
Well, if you're a center and can shoot the ball, as both Shays and Klein can do from the perimeter, you'll get all the wide open shots you want because Shaquille O'Neal is going to help as much as possible inside. Well, Shaq down low, expecting a double team to come. He gets it. I think he jumped to pass that ball and then changed his mind in midstream and just flicked it at the basket.
Ends up shooting down at the basket. Stay right here, says the official, Woody Mayfield. Holding foul on Horace Grant for Horace is second. Horace Grant signed as a free agent from the Chicago Bulls, a member of 3 Bulls NBA championship teams. Barkley, and And Royal with the rebound, hit on a reach, and Joe Clyde is upset with himself that he contested it that aggressively, and he picks up his third foul.
Because Joe Clyde knows that he's going to need his fouls against Shaquille O'Neal probably somewhere down the road. That'll get Joe a seat, and Danny Shays is back into the ball game.
Shays comes on, as does Danny Ainge for Kevin Johnson. The Suns by 6, 8.5 remaining. Third quarter. They collapse on O'Neal. The whistle blown before that shot attempt. And the foul is called on Shays, so that's 3 on Shays.
Well, what makes it so difficult to keep Shaq from stepping into the lane and covering up the defender is Shaq always wants to spin on you and look for the lob pass, and of course the defenders are aware of that, and it's a double-edged sword. You're going to give something up against Shaquille. He's just so powerful when he steps in.
And the Suns very quickly over the foul limit. O'Neal tried to line drive that free throw. He's now 4 for 7 from the line, averaging 11 free throw attempts per game. The Suns by 5. Ainge and Marley at the guards. Manning with Barkley and Shays up front. As you can see, Manning can handle the ball, although a terrific defensive play by Donald Royal to tie him up.
Well, the Suns going with a point guard, actually Danny Manning, but Danny Ainge, but Danny Manning will handle the ball in most of these situations as he had the floor spread. But Donald Royal with the quick, strong hands able to tie him up.
Donald Royal's been a very important member of this Orlando Magic team, working his way into the starting lineup. Went with the injury suffered by Dennis Scott. Start of the year, he was out earlier this season with a lower back strain and has not been getting much playing time. Has not played at all this afternoon. Hardaway trying to get that pass inside, but it did not work. Looking for the cutting Grant.
And Grant, who normally has terrific hands and can catch that kind of pass, that was not good spacing on it. A little too hot to handle.
Fourth turnover committed by Hardaway. Here's Ainge. Danny Ainge setting up himself for the shot. And extends to a 68-61 Phoenix lead. 7 points for Ainge. Anderson played by Manning. Hardaway facing a double team. Shot clock at 5. Anderson could not save it.
Well, right now, there's all kinds of mixed matchups out on the floor. Dan Marley guarding Hardaway right now. Danny Manning on Nick Anderson, as Penny Hardaway, who has had turnover problems in the past, threw a wild one there, as the Magic just not really clear on who they're being guarded on. They shouldn't worry about it. Just go run their play.
Barkley trying to back his way. Shays. Danny Shays given the open shot with Shaquille O'Neal looking to help out on the double team, and it left Shays open. The Suns 70 and the Magic 61. For Shays, his first field goal. Now single coverage on O'Neal, and it's an offensive foul. O'Neal calls for the foul.
Well, that is Shaq's favorite move, to drop that shoulder, create contact. Danny Shays did an outstanding job of taking it and flopping back a little bit to draw the attention of the official. Shaq trying to make that move in there. Shays with a terrific acting job.
And Danny said before the game that he might have to go to that flop move and perhaps scream a bit. He said that might be the only way he could take control against Shaquille O'Neal.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Bud Bowl 7. This year, it's going to be a whole new ball game. By DirecTV, introducing personalized TV. And by Oldsmobile and your authorized Aurora retailer.
Well, the Barkley post-up will draw the double team from Shaquille O'Neal, and that's what's been giving the centers for Phoenix the open shot at the top of the key. Nick Anderson caught in between here, not knowing whether he should go to Shays or stay home with the more dangerous Dan Marley. You saw the fake by Nick Anderson. He chose to stay with Marley.
And the Charles throwing some one-liners at the Orlando Magic bench.
Asking Tree if he was going to get in this game, or are you too old?
Suns by 9, 6:50 to go in the third. Barkley powering his way against Grant. So the Suns now lead 72-61.
And that's what happens when the double team doesn't come quickly enough.
First points for Barkley in the third quarter. He now has 18. Anderson gets it to O'Neal. Shaquille now playing with 3 fouls. Barkley over to help. Shot clock at 5. Hardaway. It's down to 2. He has to shoot. And a loose ball foul is called. It is on Shaquille O'Neal. That is number 4.
Well, this Phoenix Suns defense gets a lot of criticism, but they have made some terrific plays here. Out of the double team, Barkley finds a man, and Danny Shays, keeping his body between Shaq and the basket, picks up the 4th on Shaquille O'Neal. But the Suns are going to look at the tape of this game, no matter what happens the rest of the way, and find out that they can play situations very well at times.
Now, Matt, I'm making this observation strictly from the naked eye. You coach Shaquille O'Neal. He is obviously disagreeing with a point from made by Jeff Turner, but for the game, it seems to me he has not played with fire. And the Suns have done a terrific job defending against him, but you just don't see the spirited play from Shaquille, who came in angry about officiating. I don't know if that's a factor, or he let it be a factor. Barkley hits on the fadeaway of the Suns by 13.
I spoke with Shaq briefly before the game. He was very subdued, very much into getting ready for the game, but there's no question he appears disconcerted.
5:40 left, third quarter. Hardaway. Anderson for 3. Rebound Barkley. On the other hand, Charles Barkley came out on fire. Not able to hit on the 3.
Here's Charles Barkley going against single coverage against Horace Grant, spinning on him, the little fadeaway. And Charles Barkley not only enjoying the moment, but just having an outstanding ball game. However, that last shot, kind of a 5-on-5 slow transition, not a wise shot.
Suns with an 8-0 run. A pass intended for Dennis Scott, who's on the floor for the first time. Hardaway with the steal. Hardaway for Scott, and here's his first shot. Yes, Dennis Scott, who can shoot off the bench and hits on his first attempt.
Now, Brian Hill has used Dennis this way the last 3 weeks. Whenever he feels he needs a spark, you know, if Dennis has the hot hand, he can get on the floor and do it.
And that for the Suns, only their second turnover of the game. Oh, look out. Avent went down hard, but he's all right. 10-point lead for the Suns. 4.5 to go. Third quarter. Scott eluding Marley. Way off. Manning guns it down, and Marley has a breakaway. Well, Dan Marley able to sneak his way down court to beat the Magic. It leads to an Orlando timeout. 4:20 to go in the third. The Suns up by 12. Back in Phoenix, here is today's tip of the week.
Hi, I'm Alonzo Mourning of the Charlotte Hornets. Today we're going to talk about how to guard bigger men in the low post.
It goes to Ewing, and Mourning is there with the block.
You keep one hand and make sure your elbow is bent. As long as you keep a wide base, keeping your other hand free, just in case you can deflect the basketball. By using your arm span and using your strength in the post, you're able to guide the offensive player where you want him to go. So remember, even if the guy's bigger than you, then there's still things you can do to stop bigger players in the low post area.
And the Phoenix Suns have certainly been successful in defending against the big man, Shaquille O'Neal. Here's how they've done it with a combination of Shays and Tisdale and Green and Klein and the double team.
Well, no one man can do it. Not in this world, really. It's going to have to be a team effort if you're going to slow down Shaquille O'Neal, but he has slowed himself down very much in this ballgame.
Manning with the rebound. Intercepted by Anderson, and he's fouled by Manning, who did not allow the shot. Nick Anderson has been way off his game. Nick only 3 for 12 from the field.
They got off to a good start hitting his first three, but now Magic had picked off a couple of turnovers here. They turned it into a Dennis Scott three-pointer here. Nick gets a chance to go to the free throw line as the Suns getting a little bit casual, a little bit careless after some rebounds. They're just throwing the ball out loosely, and the Magic are starting to get into it defensively, something that really has not happened throughout this ball game. And Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott, and Penny Hardaway are going to have to find a way to get something going.
Nick Anderson in his 6th year out of Illinois, settling in at big guard last season, and will help lead the Fighting Illini to the 1989 NCAA Final Four. Anderson guarding Manning, giving away several inches on Danny Manning. And now Scott comes over, and he'll go up against Manning with Anderson guarding Marley. Barkley for Manning. To the left hand.
Oh, there's just a very smart play, as Danny Manning knows there is no shot blocker inside with Shaquille on the bench with 4 fouls. Not that Horace Grant and Anthony Avett can't swat a few, but Manning with his size and strength knows they can't get his shot.
Scott for 3. So Dennis Scott off the bench to hit a couple from downtown, and it cuts it to a 78-69 Phoenix lead. We approach 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Haynes with the room. Marley on the rebound. Again, no one for the Magic underneath, and it allows the Suns to get to another offensive board.
Well, Nick Anderson turned his head on Dan Marley. The Magic are so used to having Shaquille and Horace Grant pick off every rebound. Normally Hardaway Anderson, good rebounders, but they've had the luxury of those 2 big guys all season long.
Manning pushing it down. And then stripped by Scott. Good play by Dennis Scott. Here comes Anderson. Scott from beyond the line. Another three-pointer for Dennis Scott, who has come off the bench to fire 3 three-pointers. And the Suns now lead 80-72. Barkley hesitated, throws up the 3. Charles Barkley with his first from downtown this afternoon. He has 23 points, and the Suns with an 83-72 lead.
When you hesitate that much and Charles looked it over, it's very difficult to make the shot. Charles took all the time, though, and regrouped and got himself going.
Manning off the steal. 3-on-1. Manning is fouled by Scott. Good job by Dennis Scott preventing the shot.
Well, Charles Barkley with so much time here waiting for somebody to run him, the little hesitation, the fake, and then just eyeballed it, got his legs underneath him. This is the way Charles Barkley wanted to start the ball game, but he did such a good job going to the basket and getting on the offensive boards. He got the rest of his game going and didn't really resort to the perimeter shot.
Barkley 34% from downtown this season, does not look for the three-pointer that frequently. Here's it from the crowd as he sits down with 23 points. Phoenix loves to shoot the three-pointer. They lead the NBA with 268 coming into today. This past Tuesday against Denver, they tied a league record with 31 three-point attempts, and they made a team record 14. They average making 7 three-pointers per game, which also leads the league. Today they're 5 of 12 from downtown. Orlando 7 of 19. Phoenix has a 12-point lead. Ryan Shaw using the pick. Here's Horace Grant. 3 Suns going to the board.
Brian Hill has come in with a different guard lineup now with Brian Shaw and Anthony Bowie looking for them to pick up the tempo a little bit defensively. As he knows, both Hardaway and Nick Anderson worked very hard the last 5 minutes on defense.
Tisdale. And a loose ball foul against the Suns. AC Green called for that foul. Well, tonight, right here on NBC. It'll be all new episodes of Earth 2 and Sequest. And then what happens when your perfect child turns into a natural-born killer? Find out when Faye Dunaway stars in the world premiere movie, A Family Divided. It's all tonight, starting at 7, 6 Central here on NBC.
That big crowd reaction, everybody looking up at the screen to see if, in fact, that was a foul on A.C. Green, as Dennis Scott trying to box out. And as everybody could see on the screen, there was clear space between the two players, and it looked that A.C. Green did not touch him. But Dennis Scott, you got to give this guy a lot of credit. Lost his starting position because of the injury, and Donald Royal took it over, did a fantastic job. Dennis knew that Brian Hill did not want to disrupt the starting lineup and the chemistry of the team, kept his mouth shut and just dying to get an opportunity to play. And he knows that this is the only way he can play right now, is come off the bench and give a spark. He would love to get more consistent playing time.
And in recent years, he has been consistently on the trade block. He has remained with Orlando. He is among the NBA leaders in three-point shooting accuracy. He's hit 3 here in the third quarter. Tisdale changed his mind, went up for the shot, picked off by Royal. We come up on 1 minute left, third quarter. Orlando with the ball down by 10. Here's Scott, and it's rebounded by Marley. Ames played on a switch by Grant. Gets Grant into the air, and then hits. Beautiful fake by Danny Ames. 9 points for Ames.
All Danny was trying to do there was draw contact from Horace Grant. He avoided it, Steve Grant, and Ames able to make the shot.
Half-minute remaining in the third. Marley forcing a 3. Not a good shot, but kept alive by Tisdale.
Dueling bad threes, won by Dennis Scott a couple of possessions ago. And that shot, I think, was in Dan's mind to try to get a 2-for-1 situation, but definitely an ill-advised shot.
10 on the shot clock. Third quarter rolling to a conclusion. Marley with 2 on the 24 was able to penetrate.
That is a good shot, and Dan Marley loves to go to his left.
Here's Shaw with time running out. The Suns after 3, up by 14 points. Shaquille O'Neal sat out a good portion of the third quarter after picking up a 4th foul. Shaquille only 6 of 10, 17 points. Has not been an impact game for the Orlando Magic center, while Charles Barkley 11 of 19, 23 points and 10 rebounds. Dennis Scott off the bench to hit for all of his 11 points in the third quarter, but the Phoenix Suns extend to a 14-point margin. We'll be back with the fourth quarter in a moment.
Copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Welcome back to the NBA on NBC. Yes, we'll be back here in Phoenix in 3 weeks for All-Star Weekend, which will be seen on NBC Sports. We're heading to the fourth quarter with the Suns up 88-74. Charles Barkley likes to get the Phoenix Suns announcers involved dramatically in the game. A little rosin shower for Al McCoy and Cotton Fitzsimmons, the radio voices of the Suns. That'll be Michael Jordan playbook. Shaquille is called for an offensive foul. And for O'Neal, that is number 5.
And you saw what Brian Hill thinks of this one. Danny Shea's got away with one in the third quarter where he popped back. This time he reached in, maybe got some ball, maybe got some arm, but flopped back again to get Shaq his 5th.
And an offensive foul called on Danny Shea's to give the ball back to the Magic. Ryan Shaw now operating at point guard. Dennis Scott guarded by Dan Marley. Shaquille O'Neal playing with 5 fouls. And for Shaquille, that is his 7th field goal. He's 7 of 11 from the field, 5 of 8 from the line for a very quiet 19 points.
It may seem like somewhat of a gamble leaving Shaq in there with 5 with so much time to go in the fourth quarter, but when you're down 12-14 and Shaq just not able to get anything going, Brian has to roll dice here.
3-second violation. Here's Joe Klein replacing Danny Shea. 2 points 4 fouls for Shea.
And this will be a good test for Shaquille O'Neal to see if he can keep his composure and get some things done while he is in foul trouble.
And he goes right at Klein, draws the foul, the basket counts, and Shaquille will go to the line. And for Klein, that is number 4.
And Shaq now resorting to the jump shot on the last 2 possessions as a little touch here on the elbow by Joe Klein. Not a smart foul. And Shaq wisely walking all the way out to midcourt to try to regroup, collect himself, which is something that his shooting coach, Buzz Brayman, wants him to do because Shaq plays with so much emotion. Buzz does not want him to go to the line right away, wants him to just clear his head and take his time.
Shaquille O'Neal has fouled out of only 1 game prior to today, so this is most unusual. And it comes on the heels of his complaining about the officiating. Marley gets inside, trying to keep it alive, could not. Bowie comes up with it. The Suns 88 and the Magic 79 with a minute 15 gone by in this 4th quarter. Amen for Bowie. O'Neal. Shot clock at 3. There's Shaquille getting inside. O'Neal on the follow, and he is fouled. And it looks like a technical foul has been called. Mike Mathis with the indication of a technical foul.
Shaquille O'Neal. We're going to see the personal foul on number 22, Danny Ainge. 8 seconds.
On the personal.
A technical foul has been assessed to number 32, Shaquille O'Neal.
And Shaquille O'Neal apparently has something to say to Mike Mathis. He's called on the technical foul, so Ainge will shoot the tee.
But ever since Shaq picked up his 5th, he has been much more alert, knows he's in trouble, going to the jump shot the first couple of times, not trusting the officials. Here he had the space, took it, couldn't finish the play on the first time, and now as he goes up again, the grab by Danny Ainge, and Shaq in his follow-through coming down trying to get a piece of somebody, and I don't know if it was something that Shaq said or the fact that he came down hard with that right arm.
And now Shaquille O'Neal at the line, 6 of 9 from the line. Shaquille comes in leading the NBA, averaging just under 30 per game. Horace Grant replacing Anthony Avent. Shaquille leading in field goal percentage, just under 60%. And now Brian Hill makes a change. He leaves Avent, and Horace Grant will depart. Apparently for just a moment. He stays at the scorer's table.
No doubt coming in for Shaquille O'Neal at the next dead ball. Brian Hill rolled dice there for a couple of minutes and somewhat got away with it, although Shaq just having a tough time picking up the technical foul. Brian is going to try to probably buy another 3 or 4 minutes. Look at this at midcourt as Kevin Johnson does a little house cleaning.
Phoenix leading by 9. Klein from deep. And Shaw gets to it. And Scott looking for the opening. Fires. Yes. Another 3 for Scott. That is his 4th from downtown. 14 points for Scott, who has provided instant offense. And again, the Magic within 6. Johnson lost the dribble, recovered by Marley. Shot clock is down to 6. Marley for 3. And a loose ball foul called by Jim Clark. Ball being applauded by the Magic bench against the Suns. It's called on Klein. That's his 5th.
Dennis Scott has been instant offense, primarily looking for 3-pointers as he has 14 points in about 8 minutes.
Miller Genuine Draft presents Genuine Moments.
And today's Miller Genuine Draft Genuine Moment takes us back to Shaq's rookie season. First game here at America West Arena, and it was memorable. A slam bringing down the house and the basket as well. Matt, fortunately, the basket escaped without serious injury, perhaps only a bruised ego. In recognition of that moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. And apparently the basket is holding up here this afternoon. But Dennis Scott has been lightening it up. 8 minutes, 14 points. Since coming on in the third quarter, you can see the differential from a year ago. He's playing almost 28 minutes a game, not getting the playing time this season.
Dennis played in all 82 games last year and was a key figure in the fact that the Magic won 50 ball games, but just cannot get into the regular rotation. And of course, the way he's playing today, you sometimes have to wonder why.
Anthony Bowie cutting it to a 4-point Phoenix lead. They led by as many as 14. This one appeared to be on the verge of a blowout. But Orlando hanging in and coming right back. Barkley, Charles Barkley extends to a 91-85 Phoenix lead. With Brian Hill now sitting down Shaquille O'Neal, who has 5 fouls. Scott way off. Avent lost it. He thought it was foul. Barkley. And down he goes. Hit on a reach-in by Dennis Scott.
Charles Barkley throwing his body all over the place here, able to hang in the air just an extra second to knock that ball loose from Anthony Avent. Here going by Dennis Scott as he almost got hurt seriously there running into Avent, as he could have hurt his neck.
Kevin Johnson perhaps playing more than he even felt he would as he made his return here today. Oh, nice play by Shaw, but he also called for the foul, but it prevented A.C. Green from putting it down. Ryan Shaw with his first personal.
Anthony Avent, look what I'm not watching as he turns his head and A.C. Green fires in right behind him. Nice pass as Brian Shaw had to grab onto A.C. Green. Let me finish that thought, Martin, on why Dennis Scott isn't playing more. I talked with Brian Hill at length about it last week. And Brian just likes his rotation with Donald Royal and Anthony Bowie getting those extra minutes in the backcourt along with Anthony Hardaway and Nick Anderson, and told Dennis that he's only going to use him in these kinds of situations when he needs that offensive spark off the bench. And they just don't want offense from Dennis Scott. They want the complete game that Dennis can give you. Dennis can defend. Dennis can move the ball.
Phoenix leads by 7. Suns not many trips to the line, only 7 of 10 from the line. Here's Scott again. 3-pointer by Scott. He's connected on 5 out of 8 from downtown. He is in what the players like to refer to as the zone. 92-88. Phoenix by 4 with 4 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Manning drawing the double team. Manning able to get away from the double team and hit.
And the Magic bench reacts because they thought that Danny Manning double dribbled there as the ball never appeared to be knocked out of his hands.
Yes, they felt he had put the ball on the floor, stopped, and then picked up the dribble again. Here is Bowie for 3. Yes, Anthony Bowie from downtown of the Magic doing it with a barrage of 3-point shots. The Suns 94 and the Magic 91. 7.5 to go in this fourth quarter. Orlando's 10 for 26 from downtown. Scott with the steal. Well, you mentioned the defensive aspect of Dennis Scott's game. He came up with the steal. Bowie again. It's a 3 for Anthony Bowie, and he's tied the game at 94. And Orlando doing it with Shaquille O'Neal on the bench, sitting down after picking up his 5th foul. Timeout taken by Phoenix with 7:13 left in the fourth.
Well, Anthony Bowie stepping back to tie this ball game as the Magic have gone on a 26 to run as Anthony Hardaway leads the cheers from the Magic bench. Well, Dennis Scott has answered the bell with a barrage of 3-pointers, 5 out of 8 as he is feeling it. Even when he misses one, he's ready to load it up and fire again, and makes a terrific defensive play here as he feels that Danny Manning had him in the post and uses that little bit of quickness that Dennis has to get around and get the steal and lead to this tying 3-point basket of Anthony Bowie.
Dennis Scott, 17 points in 10 minutes, an 11-5 run for the Magic since Shaquille sat down with his 5th foul. And in this fourth quarter, Orlando has outscored Phoenix 20-6. They've tied the game at 94. Here is Manning, and it's rebounded by Avent. So Orlando has come back from a 14-point deficit, and they can take the lead right here. Scott setting the screen. Here is Scott, 2-point range. Handled by Avent, and he's fouled. Andy Manning called for the foul, his third.
Dennis Scott looked over to me and said, did you see that? As he put up this wild shot, missed everything. He felt the ball slipped out of his hands, but he's put up a couple of bricks and come back and hit the next shot.
Looking for some compassion from his former coach.
I never told Dennis Scott not to shoot. It wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Avent, a 67% free throw shooter. Anthony Avent, in his third year out of Seton Hall, involved in a peculiar incident last month, apparently stabbed by an alleged friend in his house, although he originally claimed he was stabbed by 3 men who attacked him. He admitted he fabricated the story, protecting the attacker from prosecution, refused to identify his friend, would not say whether the person is a man or a woman. The Magic up 96-94. First time they've led since they were up 38-37. That is called a kick ball. Dennis Scott pleading to the official, but a new 24 awarded Phoenix.
Well, Dennis put his foot and his arm out simultaneously. Probably felt that it hit both at the same time and begged for the call, didn't get it.
Here we go.
Manning, Barkley, and Tisdale now on the Phoenix front line. Ainge and Marley in the backcourt. A kick ball again. And this one goes high and far. And a new 24 for the Suns.
Well, the Magic have gotten much scrappier on defense, only forcing 1 turnover in the first half, and forced a lot more here in the second. But all of this comeback has come primarily with Shaquille O'Neal and Anthony Hardaway on the bench, although it did start when Shaq got his 5th and got 5 points right after that.
Illegal defense for the second time against Orlando. So a technical foul. Hardaway and O'Neal sending it out. Anthony had 12 points first half, only 2 here in the second half. Ainge cuts it to a 1-point Magic lead.
Quick look at the illegal defense. The post up in here. And watch Anthony Avent here. You're not allowed to go and break that line at the foul line. You have to go right away with the fakes there. That 2.9 rule is out. You must go right away.
Barkley battling for position, then goes to the fadeaway and just did get a piece of the rim. Orlando leads by 1. Ainge all over Scott, allowing no room. Scott backing his way and gets it out to Shaw for 3. Brian Shaw with his first points of the game, and the Magic leading 99-95.
Amazing how the hot hand can create opportunities for other people. Dennis Scott didn't force anything. Drew the double team, hit the open man.
12 for 28 from downtown for the Orlando Magic. Ainge, and he comes up short, and it's deflected out by Barkley.
Danny Ainge getting up into the chest of Dennis Scott, which forces Dennis to put the ball on the floor and try to go by him. When the double team came, Brian Shaw, who's had a very bad wrist, has really come alive the last 2 or 3 games for Orlando.
Shaw using the pick, not looking for the shot. And it will be Orlando ball with the 11 on the 24. Paul Westphal now going to Elliot Curry, who has not played very much after starting the game. We've seen quite a bit of Kevin Johnson. Timeout is being taken by Orlando. Brian Hill wants to talk it over. 5:14 left in the 4th. Orlando 99 and Phoenix 95. Welcome back to the NBA Game of the Week. And a reminder, looking ahead next Sunday, 12 noon Eastern, the basketball action continues. Another NBA doubleheader. First, Sir Charles leading the Suns into Madison Square Garden, taking on Patrick Ewing and the Knicks. Charles Barkley leading the Suns to the best record in the West. The Knicks and Patrick Ewing on a roll. They have won 11 of the last 12. They face the Miami Heat in Miami tonight. That'll be Phoenix and New York next Sunday at 12 noon, followed by Scottie Pippen and the Bulls playing host to Tim Hardaway and the Golden State Warriors. Coverage starting at the special time of 12 noon Eastern with the tip-off of the Suns and the Knicks from Madison Square Garden.
Well, in the first half, every lineup that Paul Westphal used seemed to do something good for him. In this second half, it is not. The starting group didn't get it done. He's got a very small team on the floor right now.
Shaw got the step. Barkley with the rebound and a loose ball foul against Phoenix. It's called against Barkley, and that is his third.
Charles discussing it with Elliot Perry. He didn't want Elliot Perry to get beat that way in the lane. He wanted to send that thing to the baseline as Danny Manning challenged the shot, forced the miss, but Barkley pushing off and picking up the foul against Anthony Abend.
And the Suns are over the foul limit. Abend is 2 for 2 at the line, but he has had his ups and downs at the free throw line for the season at 66%.
There's a tendency when a key player like Shaquille O'Neal goes out with foul problems or for whatever reason, injury or whatnot, and Anthony Hardaway not playing, that there's a tendency for the other team to relax and think they have everything under control. I'm not really sure that's been the case here in the fourth period. It's more a case of Dennis Scott got hot, Brian Shaw's doing some good things out there, and the Suns have just gone ice cold at the offensive end.
Abend missing on both. At one point, Phoenix led by 14. The Magic with a 20-6 run to open up this fourth quarter, and they lead by 4 points. Ainge finding Manning. The Magic 99, and the Suns 97.
Now Barkley begged for the double team, got it, and the Suns do terrific patience to get a wide open, easy shot for Danny Manning.
Ryan Shaw has done an excellent job as Anthony Hardaway continues to sit. Dennis Scott backing Dan Marley. Off the fake, lays it off Dave, and he's rejected by Barkley. Ainge for Perry, looking for Manning. Manning working on Grant. Pops it back out. Marley for 3. Yes! The Suns by 1 with 4 minutes to go in the fourth. 27 points for Dan Marley. We're just under 4 minutes remaining. Fourth quarter. Anthony Bowie, who caught fire a moment ago, hitting 2 from downtown. This time not able to hit. Scott keeps it alive. Timeout called by Dennis Scott.
Well, the Suns had come up big on the last couple of possessions defensively as Charles Barkley, the best shot blocker on the floor for Phoenix right now. A beautiful pass from Dennis Scott, but Charles Barkley is just going to stone Anthony Abend at the other end. And Elliot Perry thought about taking a jumper. They went into Manning, and then 2 quick passes over to Marley for the 3 and the 1-point Phoenix Sun lead.
Phoenix with 3 timeouts remaining. Orlando 2 plus a 20. The Phoenix Suns with the best record in the West. 29-8, 3 straight wins. They've taken 8 of their last 9, leading the Pacific Division by 2 games. Game and a half behind Orlando for the very best record in the NBA. Shaquille O'Neal is back on the floor. The Magic 32-7. 6 straight wins. However, Anthony Hardaway remains on the bench. Ryan Shaw continues as the point guard. O'Neal overstays. Manning rebound.
Well, Shaq, the last few times he has shot the ball have all been jump shots. He does not trust the officials right now. He just doesn't feel he's going to get a call if he powers to the basket.
Here's Shays. And he shays from the outside. And the Suns lead by 3. That is only his second field goal. But the combination of Shays and Klein have done a very fine job against O'Neal. Here is Shaw. Rebound Barkley. Barkley pushing it down and then decides to hold it up. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the fourth. Phoenix with the ball. They've recaptured the lead. They're up by 3. Shot clock at 7. Perry for 3. And the rebound handled by Shaw.
Elliott Perry played the first 8 minutes of this ballgame. Has been out on the floor for the last couple, but probably not warm enough to take that kind of shot in that situation.
Orlando has missed its last 5 shots. 7 on the 24. Shaquille O'Neal is fouled. They doubled and tripled O'Neal. The help came, and he drew the foul. That's number 5 on Shays.
Well, Danny Shays trying to keep Shaq from turning into the middle. Little flop back there. As he fell, he went straight up on the play and possibly took a right elbow here from Shaquille O'Neal. But the call has finally gone in Shaq's favor as he's been upset all night long. And Danny Shays got away with a couple of ones earlier there. Who knows on that one?
5 apiece on Shays, Klein, and O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is 7 of 11 at the line. For the last 5 minutes of the game, he's picked it up slightly. Not the case here. Anthony Hardaway, who sat out for a long period of time, back on the floor.
And Paul Westphal will counter with Danny Ainge to get the smaller Elliott Perry out of the game. I've always felt when a star player has 5 personal fouls, that if he's out there playing hard, he's going to get the benefit of calls coming down the stretch.
Suns by 2. Just under 2 minutes remaining in the 4th. Shays off the fake. Rebound Hardaway. Hardaway and Shaw now in the backcourt. Scott, Grant, and O'Neal up front. O'Neal with the jump hook being waved off for a traveling violation.
And Shaq just glaring a little bit at the official. Not really. He feels he maybe probably did walk on this particular. Watch his feet. There's a lot of footwork being used here. A little hop. And very, very close. I think the hop is what cost him.
Minute and a half left. 4th quarter. Orlando with their 15th turnover, 5 by Hardaway, which is the major reason he sat for a good portion of this 4th quarter. Marley for 3. Way off. The air ball fielded by Shaw, who comes it down. Suns get back. Scott for 3. Way off. Rebounded by Hardaway. Here's Grant. And he's fouled. Fouled by Barkley. With 1:06 to go in the 4th. Barkley called for his 4th. And the Magic to the line with a chance to tie.
Charles Barkley having a very serious discussion with Danny Shays. I think a little bit upset with that last shot that he took. He got Shaquille O'Neal up in the air on the head fake, but that's not really the kind of shot they want Danny to take off the dribble. They don't mind if he takes it when the ball is thrown out of the double team.
Grant on the line for the first time today. He's only a 66% free throw shooter. He brings Orlando within 1, although 66% an improvement from a year ago when he was at 59%. Horace Grant looking to tie the game. The Suns and the Magic are tied at 1:02.
And the go-to man in this situation put the ball in the hands of Charles Barkley.
Barkley backing his way. O'Neal over on the double team. Here is Shays. Coming up short, but rebounded by Marley. So a new 24 for the Suns. And we get a whistle. Horace Grant in pain.
I think the whistle is for Jimmy Clark, the underneath official, questioning whether or not that ball had touched the rim. He couldn't see it from underneath. And they are going to rule a new 24. There'll be 19 seconds on the shot clock. 44 left in the 4th quarter.
Horace Grant shaken up, but says he's okay. So Brian Hill will hang in. O'Neal reaching in for the steal. It is a kick ball, and so the shot clock reset. A new 24 for the Suns.
Horace Grant still in pain. They're holding his elbow as the Magic keep sticking their foot out and getting the Phoenix Suns another possession.
Haynes not able to hit, but rebounded by Shays. And the Suns will talk it over. Timeout taken, 26 seconds to go, fourth quarter. 21 on the shot clock. The game tied at 102.
Ahmad Rashad back at America West, and here you see a little difference of strategy here. This is as Charles Barkley and Danny Ainge are going off the court. Danny Ainge trying to get 2 for 1, and Charles maybe disagreeing a little bit with that strategy. Mark?
Yes, some physical advice from Charles Barkley. The Suns have missed their last 5 shots. The Magic have missed their last 6. The game is tied at 102, 25 seconds to go. Shot clock showing 17 now. And the Suns looking to use the clock. Barkley with 10 on the 24. Backing Grant. And again a leg block. But that's not a bad thing from the Phoenix point of view, because it gives them the entire clock with only 13 and 6/10 seconds remaining. So there's no differential. It is their ball for the final 13.6.
And the Magic not afraid to come off Elliot Perry. They'll gamble with him on a little bit of a shot, but they don't want to give Ainge or Marley anything open on the other side of the floor.
Now to 10. Game time, 102. Barkley with a smile as he sets up against Grant. It is down to 3. Here is Barkley. Off the rim, not good, and Hardaway rebounds. And pointing at the clock, he felt there should have been more time remaining. They might reset it. Timeout taken quickly by the Magic. Right now, 0.3 of a second displayed on the clock, but that might be altered.
Phoenix not taking any chances with any passes out of double teams, putting the ball in the hands of Charles Barkley with the floor spread. Charles settles for the jumper under pressure on good defense by Horace Grant, as Hardaway gets it with about 1.3. And Charles Barkley furious with himself for not making that shot and really not getting a better shot in that situation.
And they have adjusted the clock to 1.7. 1 and 7/10 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Suns and the Magic are tied at 102. Timeouts remaining. 2 apiece for Orlando and Phoenix. A terrific effort by the Orlando Magic on the road, coming back in the fourth quarter, down by as many as 14, doing it with Shaquille O'Neal in foul trouble. Anthony Hardaway not playing well, turning it over 5 times. Brian Hill going with Brian Shaw, did a nice job, and got the big boost from the three-point shooting of Dennis Scott, who lit it up. 5 of 9 from downtown. Anthony Bowie hit 2 3-pointers. Brian Shaw hit 1 3-point shot, and they were able to get back into it with a 20-6 spurt right at the start of this fourth quarter.
And not only all the 3-pointers by Dennis Scott, but he did a lot of good things at the defensive end. Had a steal in there, challenged the 3-point shooter, changed some shots. So a terrific team effort on the part of Orlando. We have a long way to go. And the Magic were in this position the other night against Denver. Got the inbounds pass to Anthony Hardaway, who had a wide-open shot off the play and just did not make it. You got to feel it's going to be something involving Hardaway and Shaquille on possibly maybe a back-pick lob look to Shaq, or Hardaway stepping out for a shot. 1.7, plenty of time to catch and let one fly.
One and 7/10 seconds remaining. Fourth quarter. Game time. 102. Brian Shaw will throw it in. Gets it into Hardaway. Hardaway running the basket at the buzzer. That would have been the game winner. Instead, we go right into overtime. The Orlando Magic will go to overtime for the 6th time this season. They have won the previous 5 for Phoenix. It will be their first overtime session.
Well, we got the back pick from Hardaway to send Shaq to the basket. That was covered well. Hardaway getting the pass, kept his back to the basket to make sure he could catch the ball, and he's just not going to get a better look at a wide open 17-footer than that.
And Hardaway was right on target, but it rimmed in and out. So it is on to overtime. Brian Hill following the shot, looking for the victory. Oh no, we go to OT. The Suns 102 and the Magic 102 in what has been a terrific afternoon of basketball. Welcome back to America West Arena in Phoenix. Marv Albert with Matt Kukas and Ahmad Rashad. The Orlando Magic, as you can see, turning it around in the fourth quarter, outscoring the Phoenix Suns 28-14. And we are headed to overtime with the game even at 102. The High Point men, Dan Marley with 27, Charles Barkley with 25, Danny Manning 15, Shaquille O'Neal with 24. He has 5 fouls, as does his counterpart Danny Shays. Orlando 5-0 in overtime. Phoenix playing its first overtime game of the season. And the Magic control.
Under what you might think is some pressure out there, most of the Phoenix players giving Anthony Hardaway the needle about missing that wide open shot.
Shaquille going right to it. He is now 8 for 15 from the field. Elliott Perry opening up, along with Dan Marley at the guards. Charles Barkley, Danny Shays, Danny Manning up front. They swing it for Marley. And the foul is called on Orlando. It is on Hardaway. That is his second.
Well, neither team able to hit a field goal with seemingly the last month. Some of them have been good shots and some of them have been bad shots, but somebody's going to have to start taking the ball to the basket and possibly get fouled to score some points.
Shays, yes, Danny Shays with 6 points. Phoenix had missed his last 6 shots. Danny Shays in his 14th year out of Syracuse has hit 3 of 6 from the field. O'Neal coming up short. Marley on the break. And the shot prevented by the combination of Shaw and Scott.
Well, Danny Shays getting wide open as Shaquille O'Neal started to go down and double team Charles Barkley. Nobody rotates to him, and then a terrific job defensively once again by Danny Shays as he went straight up and forced the poor effort there by Shaquille O'Neal.
So Marley to the line. He's 2 of 2 at the free throw line. For the Magic, this is their second straight overtime game. Friday night in Denver in OT, the Magic beating the Nuggets 112-108.
I think Shaq is feeling the effects of playing with 5 fouls right now. I said earlier he doesn't really trust the officials that he's going to get the benefit of call if he takes it strong to the basket, and has changed his offensive thinking right now.
Phoenix 105, Orlando 102. Curry remaining with Shaw in the backcourt. Hardaway wanted a pick. And a foul on Perry. Some encouragement offered up by Barkley. A look at the foul rundown. 5 on O'Neal, 5 apiece on Shays and Klein, 4 on Barkley, 4 on Green. We are in overtime with a minute and a half gone by in the 5-minute session.
With the bigger Dan Marley on Anthony Hardaway, it has cut down on a lot of his post-up opportunities.
Shaw getting inside. Shaw on the follow. And tipped by O'Neal. Loose ball foul. And it's called on Phoenix.
Brian Shaw getting inside on the smaller Elliott Perry. Bump there, a flop as Barkley goes after a lot of pushing and shoving here as Shaquille O'Neal tries to grab a hold of the ball. He is just absolutely furious and has been somewhat taken out of this game by the officiating.
Manning called for the fouls, 5th with those 2 missed tips. Orlando has missed its last 11 shots. Shaw is 1 for 8. The one he hit was that huge 3-pointer. 3-point Phoenix lead. O'Neal with a drop step. And Perry rebounds. Good play by Manning to sweep it aside.
And one more time, Shaquille O'Neal reluctant to take the ball a little bit stronger to the basket to force the officials to possibly give him a good call.
Manning. So the Suns have done all the scoring in overtime. They take a 5-point lead. Orlando calling for time.
Shaq making another strong move to the lane, but then stopped short of finishing the play and forcing contact there with those 5 personal fouls and forced to take an off shot. And now Danny Manning on the turnaround jumper off Dennis Shaw, who just does not have enough height to bother that shot.
2:46 remaining in overtime. 107 to 102. While we have a moment here, we have received word out of Raleigh-Durham, which is unfortunate news for Mike Krzyzewski and the Duke Blue Devils. Mike Krzyzewski, who underwent back surgery earlier this month, will not return to the Blue Devils bench this season. Pete Gaudette will run the club the rest of the way. It's been rough going. Duke has lost its last 6, their longest losing streak in some 56 years. So Mike Krzyzewski will sit out for the remainder of the season. Dennis Scott looking for the shot. Hits another 3. That's his 6th from downtown. Dennis Scott cutting into that Phoenix margin. 107-105. The Suns on top with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left in overtime. Shot clock at 5. Marley off balance. Rebounded by O'Neal.
Well, that's how you want to try and defend Dan Marley. Make him put the ball on the floor and take a jumper.
Hardaway going right to the traffic and foul. So Hardaway will go to the line. He was hit by Barkley. That's 5 on Charles.
Well, the previous hot hand by Dennis Scott in the 3rd quarter, I should say the 4th quarter, set this up with the pump fake as the Suns very much aware that what Dennis has been doing in this ballgame. They rushed at him. Dennis had the wherewithal to pull it back down, take his time, and knock it down.
And with that 6th 3-point field goal, Dennis Scott has equaled a career-high 6 3-pointers in one game, and Hardaway has tied the game, and so once again the Magic have come roaring back. Down by 5 here in overtime. They've tied it with 1 minute and 50 to go in OT. Orlando giving Perry the shot. He takes it from 3-point range. They were challenging Elliott Perry to shoot, and he did.
Well, he gave it up the first time, and Charles Barkley threw it right back out and fired at him. Shoot it!
The Suns lead by 3. Scott again. That is a career high for Dennis Scott. That's his 7th from downtown. And the game is tied at 110. A minute 5 remaining in the 4th quarter. Rather in overtime. Here's Shays. Rebound swept by O'Neal. We're under 1 minute remaining in OT. Dennis Scott, 7 of 11 from 3-point land. Game tied at 110. Shot clock at 10. Shaw. And he's tied up. It will be a jump ball.
Shaw getting into the lane off that screen roll situation. The defense stayed with Shaquille O'Neal, gave him a lane to the basket, went up for the shot, but knocked loose by Danny Manning on the jump ball.
And Barkley with a terrific play in the air, calling for timeout, which gives them possession to the Phoenix Suns.
Not only did he call timeout, able to hang on to the basketball and actually give the signal.
Both teams with 2 timeouts remaining. The game tied at 110.
Well, Elliott Perry somewhat tentative here as he's playing catch with Charles Barkley. Charles yelled to him to let this one fly as Perry knocks down his 9th, just his 9th 3-pointer of this year.
But 9 for 20 from downtown for the season for Perry.
And And the man with the hot hand from three land in this game, Dennis Scott, has actually, Dan Marling stepped out, did a good defensive job, challenged the shot, but Dennis has been on fire.
And both teams firing it up from three-point range. Correction on what was reported earlier regarding Dennis Scott. That his 7th three-pointer of the game. That's a season high. His career high, 9 in one game. That's an Orlando franchise record, 9 in one game. We're down to 25 seconds to go in overtime. Tied at 110. Haynes for three. And Mike Mathis blowing the whistle. The call is being made down low against the Magic. Haynes thought he was fouled on that shot attempt, but that is not the call. It's a loose ball foul on Horace Grant.
That's just the first in the last 2 minutes, so no shots involved. We're going to have a timeout as Horace Grant holding people down as Charles Barkley helping referee Mike Mathis make that call.
The end result of this, following the timeout, it will be Phoenix possession with 19 and 7/10 seconds to go in overtime. We'll be right back.
Danny Ainge is going to let a three-pointer go, but keep your eye on Charles Barkley and Horace Grant underneath the basket going for this rebound as Charles, with a little bit of ring around the rosy there, grabbed a hold of Grant first, but Grant got his arm caught in there. Non-shooting foul, Phoenix possession.
19 and 7/10 seconds. Yes, Charles demonstrating what the call should be, and that was the call. Orlando and Phoenix tied at 110. Time winding down in this overtime. Ainge playing the clock down. 10 seconds to go in OT. Ainge watched by Hardaway. Now to 5. Will it come down to Barkley taking the shot again? No. Ainge pops it out. Perry, can he get it off? He does. And it was a foul call. Yes, a foul on the play, which will put Perry at the line. Now the question is, has time run out? Zeros on the clock. No indication as to whether time has completely run out. Hardaway called for that foul. And they have just placed 4/10 of a second back on the clock.
Elliot Perry not really getting a clear look at this basket, just trying to lean in and draw contact. Put up a very poor shot. He is a very good foul shooter.
86% for the season for Perry. 4/10 of a second remaining in overtime. The game is tied at 110. Phoenix by 1. Orlando will call an immediate timeout. Oh, he missed it on purpose, looking to end the game. And let's see what the call is from Jimmy Clark. Well, apparently they're putting the 4/10 of a second back on the clock. He missed that second shot on purpose.
Instructions from the bench and Charles Barkley. They felt that if it possibly hit the rim and players could go bang around at it, that would take the 4/10 of a second off. I'm not all that sure that ball hit the rim, so if it hit the backboard only, that's a violation, and that's why they would get the 4/10 of a second. Here is this foul on Elliot Perry as he goes by Hardaway and is tripped down low as there is body contact below there, but Perry was in no kind of condition to put up a good shot. As Charles Barkley with a little war dance, proud of his little buddy who hit a key three-pointer in this overtime, and now a chance to give the Suns the win. There you see the clock winding down as Perry put up that fourth shot. Very, very close. But the foul was definitely called very decisively. Mike Mathis put the fist in the air and had Anthony Hardaway hitting him down low.
From the coaching point of view, Matt, that is not a foul that you're pleased about. When your player is involved with a fling shot, you want to play aggressively, but you don't want to commit a foul. Hardaway was called for that tripping foul. Then Perry to the line and a clutch situation, hits the first and appeared to purposely miss the second that did not make contact with the rim.
Let's watch and see if this ball touches the rim on the free throw shot as Curry intentionally trying to miss and catch some rim as it was off, and did miss the rim and the backboard, and that is in effect a violation, and that's why Orlando will get 4 tenths, and when you have 4 tenths, you do have the chance to shoot a ball. 3 tenths or under, it has to be a tip.
AC Green, Joe Klein reporting in for Phoenix. Will we see the lob for Shaquille?
Well, they ran it before with Hardaway setting the back pick for Shaquille O'Neal. Now a big player, Danny Shays, will try to bother the inbound pass from Shaw. Joe Klein is in there, and they will probably switch on everything.
Both teams do have 1 timeout remaining. Let's see if Shaw likes what he sees. Well, Bowie is wide open, and he'll take the shot. Would have been too late. Waved off by Mike Malthus, and the Phoenix Suns in overtime have come away with a 111-110 victory to go to a record of 30-8 and move a half game behind the Orlando Magic. The Magic now at 32-8, so their 6-game win streak is over. And let's go over to Ahmad with Charles Barkley. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. All the hype going into this game could be a preview of the finals, and it lived up to it, every bit of it.
It's very rarely when they hype something as much as this game been hyped, it lives up to it. But it was a great game, and I hope everything goes well, because I would love to play them in the finals, but that's a long way away.
Yeah, but we've been hanging out the last couple of days. I've never seen you so excited about playing a season game.
Well, you know, when you get old, regular season get to be long and monotonous. But when you get to play against Shaquille on NBC, it's a fun game.
Now, what about you, though? You have, every time we've talked in the past, we've talked about your health. Today, the explosion's back. You look like you're feeling very well.
I've been playing well the last month. I feel very good physically. And that's obviously a big key for me. If I feel good, I think I can play really well.
All right, Charles, we will see you next Sunday in New York.
Sounds good.
All right, back to you, Marv.
Thank you, Ahmad. Barkley, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 9 assists. Marley with 28. O'Neal with 24 and foul difficulty in the second half. Dennis Scott off the bench, providing a lift with 7 from downtown, and he finished with 23 points. Again, the final in OT, Phoenix 111, Orlando 110 for Matt Kukas and Ahmad Rashad. I'm Marv Albert. This has been the NBA on NBC.